and welcome to my 53rd video. Thank you so much for joining me if you are a return subscriber, or hello if you are new. My name's Adrina, I'm an Australian teacher and mum, currently on a break at the moment trying to figure out this whole Teacherpreneur online space, selling my teaching resources and clip art on Teachers Pay Teachers and online. Today's video is super juicy and super exciting for me because not only do we get to make clip art, but we also get to talk about money and manifestation. So I've got 3 sticky notes that I have here with me now. So I'm gonna go over where do I actually sell my clip art online. I'm also gonna talk about other ways I'm making money online at the moment. And I'm also going to be talking about my plans to diversify my income online. So as we know, this whole teacherpreneur, creativepreneur, entrepreneur, online business world is so different to a 9 to 5. So I really just wanted to kind of sit down, chat a little bit about those kind of topics involving money, and also talk about manifestation, things that have happened in my life along the way that I've manifested, because I had someone ask about some of my manifestation stories, so I thought, why not share them here? So if any of those topics interest you, then keep on watching, because this video is a juicy one, because I talk about my love life in my manifestation story, and I'm just super excited to finally get to play with my new watercolor set that I haven't been able to have a play with yet because I've been busy as a mum. So let's take you over to my office desk and let's create clip art and chat. Okie dokie, so I've got my little sticky notes here so I can touch on them so I don't get too carried away with my rambling. But before we begin chatting, I just want to kind of show you some things that I bought recently for creating watercolor clip art. So I've just got some brushes, nothing too expensive, just a couple of little Montmart brushes for watercolor. I have this Derwent Academy watercolor set that I haven't used yet. I bought it just on sale at Officeworks. If you are from Australia, you'll know what that is. It's a massive kind of stationery and just like supplies store for like all different types of things really. They sell office chairs there, they sell computers, they sell printer ink, they sell like everything there. A lot of teachers here in Australia go to a place called Officeworks. I don't know if you guys have that in the US. You probably have something equivalent if you don't. But yeah, I just got that from there. It was on sale. I think it was like $5. So yeah, I'm pretty chuffed with that. And I just got this little watercolor pad that I'm going to be using for this. And this one, again, so you can see, $6.99. That one was a bit more dearer than some of the other ones I've used in the past. But it says it has a bit more of a thicker GSM. So I thought I would try that out, see how we go with that one. I am definitely not a watercolor pro. I am still experimenting with watercolors. I love the look of watercolors. I really enjoy the look of watercolors and I love painting with them, but I'm honestly still a beginner with watercolor. I am not someone that has a vast array of experience with watercolor, so I'm just really playing around. So, and like I said, you need to kind of experiment and play to be able to get better. So, and I mentioned that actually in my 30 harsh truths, if you want to be a clip artist on TPT, that experimenting is important. And it's okay if you experiment. So this is me experimenting, you guys. Okay, so I've got my paper. I do also have this watercolor set. I don't know if I'm going to touch on that one. This is again just a cheaper one that I bought from Officeworks. I've not invested anything too crazy because, you know, I'm not a pro yet. I need to start at the beginner level, just buying kind of cheaper stuff and playing around with them until I can get better at the actual craft, I guess, and then I can upgrade. But today we're just going to do like a little bit of a back to school set. This clip art set that I'm going to be showing you here and making with you guys is going to be a free clip art set for you guys to use commercially. By the end of this video, I'll hopefully have this released on my Tealazzo clip art store, so you can go and use anything that I create here today in any of your works. So I'm going to be only doing like, there will only be 6 things in this clip art set, so it's not going to be a massive one, but I am going to have 6 different things for back to school because it's coming to back to school season. And maybe if you guys like this video in the future, I could do another like create clip art with me as a freebie and you guys can come along. Now, before I get into talking the money side of things, I am just going to rip this off, and I will just let you know, this is not going to be like a tutorial or anything. This is just me kind of drawing and chatting with you guys. so I'm not showing you exactly how I'm doing anything. I'll try and speak on some things along the way, but I'm really just creating and chatting with you guys. Alright, so I'm just going to show you what I had planned to create before we get into it. But the free clip arts that I was going to make for back to school was going to have an apple, a pencil, a notebook, a bag, an iPad and a clock in it. So I might start with the most simple thing being an apple first, and then we'll just start chatting. Alrighties, so where do I sell clip art online? At the moment, I only sell clip art in 2 main spaces. The main space being Tealazzo Clipart on Teachers Pay Teachers, and if you've been following my story or my journey, you'll know that obviously that this channel is connected to my TPT store. Basically this channel has been inspired from Tealazzo Clipart, my TPT store, and it's basically aim of this channel is just to kind of help educate you guys or share my process and also my journey, because there's nothing out there on clip art for Teachers Pay Teachers sellers. So I sell my main clip art on Teachers Pay Teachers. However, and I have mentioned this in one of my last videos recently, I also sell on Creative Fabrica. Now, I haven't given Creative Fabrica a good hot go, but I have made money on Creative Fabrica selling clip art. But the only reason I haven't kind of been transparent with the money side of things on Creative Fabrica is because when I signed up, and you do have to go through an approval process, but when I signed up to Creative Fabrica, they give you like a disclosure thing to say that to keep like the information between us. Like it's literally like in a PDF to say, please don't mention this outside, like your earnings are to be kept like almost a secret. And honestly, that kind of annoys me because I wish I could kind of share a bit more about Creative Fabrica with you guys, money-wise, of how much like I've earned so far. I'm not going to obviously give numbers because I'm not allowed to, but I will say it's been far less than what I've earned on TPT. But mind you, I haven't given it a good hot go. I've only got about 48 products on there, and I have not been consistent with Creative Fabrica. Now, Creative Fabrica clip art and the dashboard on their end is not, I feel, as advanced yet as TPT. I love Creative Fabrica as a platform. As a seller, it's been interesting, but I do actually like some of the things that Creative Fabrica really do offer. I'm really excited to see where they're going as a platform. I use them in my own works, especially like the fonts, and I have used clip art from there. I actually buy from there quite frequently, honestly. So I really do like Creative Fabrica. TPT though is where, for me, the money's at right now. Again, this is still like, I'm still on my beginning journey of like earning money on TPT, but you know, that's compared to Creative Fabrica. Mind you, I only just started Creative Fabrica in December of 2021, whereas Tealazzo I started in May of 2021. So I've been selling obviously on Tealazzo clip art on Teachers Pay Teachers for a little bit longer. And so that also is going to bring me into basically saying to Etsy. I don't sell on Etsy. There's a few reasons as to why I don't sell on Etsy at this point in time. Quick interruption, that's my apple so far. That's just the sketch of it. Okay, so back to Etsy. I don't sell on Etsy at this point in time, only really because, well, there's a few reasons why I don't sell on Etsy. I have thought about selling on Etsy, but there's a few reasons as to why. And the first reason is their fees. Oh my goodness, like, I know for some people it might not be a big deal, but I know that at the moment, like especially on YouTube as well, because I'm quite a avid YouTube fan. I love YouTube. Like I said in some of my other videos, I've been watching YouTube since probably like I was 12 or 13. So YouTube, you know, me and YouTube, I'm very aware of the YouTube platform, and I watch a lot of things on YouTube and I love YouTube. But a lot of creators from Etsy are saying certain things about Etsy that I don't really sit well with me really at this point in time, especially with some creators saying like their stores just like are getting you know, shut down from a bug and all these kind of random stuff like that. It's worrisome as a seller. I mean, a massive thing that draws people that create clip art or just like digital products and just physical products to Etsy is their database. Etsy has a massive database of people that come to their website. So as a beginner, when you're starting out, like to have that traffic coming to a website, you want something like that when you're beginning, because no one knows you when you first start. Like no one knows of your work. So it's like, how do I get my work out there when no one knows me yet? And Etsy is a great place to start or even sell, because there's so many different, people on there. Etsy has been around for quite a while, and they've developed and built up this massive database of people that shop on Etsy, that trust Etsy, that know Etsy. Similar to Teachers Pay Teachers, I believe, really, with that, the like and trust factor with that. Now, Etsy for me, I have tried creating a store, but what really got me was like the fees. I am someone, when it comes to like beginning a project, I don't know if I'm just like frugal or whatever when it comes to something like this. I don't like putting out a lot of money to begin with when I don't know if it's going to kind of come back to me in return. And I know that can kind of be contradicting to maybe like some other things that I might say, but the fees for me, like as a beginner, if I'm paying like 20 cents to like list something on your platform and no one buys that, even if it's like the 2 months that or however long that 20 cents lasts to list something, if no one's going to buy anything, I've just lost 20 cents. And for me, it's like, I don't really like that risk as losing something when you're beginning. That's what I love about Teachers Pay Teachers, is there is very low risk. Like I'm someone that's quite a cautious person when it comes to stuff like that. So it's pretty low risk, Teachers Pay Teachers, as it's free. To sign up, you don't have a barrier of entry. And even with Creative Fabrica, you have to go through an approval process, and you have to actually like submit a portfolio or like a store that you own or you run to be able to show that your work is suitable for Creative Fabrica. So I'll be honest and I'll say I was on Tealazzo for a little while before I actually got accepted to Creative Fabrica, and in December of 2021, that's when I kind of applied to Creative Fabrica as a seller, and I submitted my 2 stores, the Creative Table and Tealazzo, as my portfolios, and I had to change a number in both of those stores because they were like, to me, when we were back and forth with the communication, they're like, we have to verify that these 2 stores belong to you because they're completely different. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't really think of that, because they asked in the approval process, they asked for like a couple of links, I'm pretty sure, when I think back to my process of approval. And so I was like, oh, they're asking for 2 links. Well, I don't have anything else but my 2 stores. So I put my 2 stores there, and then I got verified and they said, yep, that's fine, because I changed the numbers for both stores to show that I did own them. And all I did with that was I changed it in my store profile. I think in my about bio section, I put the number that they gave me in my Teachers Pay Teachers store, so they could verify that I owned both of those by having that number that they gave to me placed in both of those store bios. So that's kind of just a little bit about that. Etsy, back to Etsy. So I opened a store, but the thing is, it wasn't Tealazzo clip art for one, and I tried to do something a little bit different. This was like a while ago. I didn't ever put clip art on my Etsy store when I first started, but like I said, what really got me down and made me not want to do it was the whole fee. Like it costs you like, I don't know, I'll have to put it on screen exactly how much it costs you to like list a product. But for me, it was like, I'm only starting this. I don't know if anyone's even going to buy any of my work, so I don't really want to be like forking out money here. Money that, I just don't have to throw around in the hopes that maybe someone will buy something. If I had a bit more money to play with in that field for the online business at the time that I started Etsy, then yeah, maybe it would be okay. But another reason too is obviously having a Teachers Pay Teachers store is a lot of work. If you have your own Teachers Pay Teachers store, like 1 store is plenty enough. 2 is even more work. And to have an extra additional store, such as an Etsy store in the background, that's a lot as well. And even for the Creative Fabrica store I have, like the reason why I haven't been as consistent is because I've been placing all my effort and energy into Tealazzo. And so it's not a bad thing in some way. Obviously I have Creative Fabrica kind of running in the background, and I have put 48 things on that store, but there's just like pros and cons for both of those. And what I'm seeing at the moment is Teachers Pay Teachers is working for me better than Creative Fabrica in that regard to like selling clip art. So I'm really spending my time, not being too silly, spending my time on where the money's at for me to push forward. That would just be the logic thing to do, you know what I mean? Like if you are finding success on one platform, you don't want to just like give that up and leave it and not put time into it. If you're seeing results, you don't want to just like abandon it. You want to really kind of keep going with that. And that's what I'm trying to do with Tealazzo. And that honestly, having two stores, Tealazzo and the creative table on Teachers Pay Teacher, like obviously, and being a mum, that's a lot of work to do, you guys, but I just try and manage it as best as I can and do what I can when I can. That's my little bag for now. So they're basically the two places I sell clip art on, Teachers Pay Teachers and Creative Fabrica. Now I have tried to open a store at the Hungry JPEG. Now the Hungry JPEG though, I signed up and I submitted the approval thing and whatever, like I can't even remember exactly what I did, but I submitted it. They even asked for like your whole ID situation and everything. And I found with the Hungry JPEG, they just didn't get back to me, and I was just confused. Like I didn't know what happened there. They never got back to me. It was quite confusing, and I know some people do sell on the Hungry JPEG, but for me, they never got back to me, and I don't know if that was because I wasn't approved or there was just like no communication on their end, or if there was, either it went to spam and I didn't get to see it, or I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if I will try in the future to maybe start a store there. That's just another option if you are thinking about creating clip art for other websites. Maybe in another video I'll talk about all the different types of platforms that you can actually sell clip art on, and that might be something to kind of like do an actual whole video on. Yeah. Let's talk about this sticky note. last video a couple of days ago and it just totally sucked. So I'll show you first of all what kind of came from that video, and then we can kind of move forward and talk about what I wanted to actually talk about in that video and discuss, and then talk about some manifestation stories with you guys. When I tried to film my last video, so I made this little laptop out of, I sketched them all and then I painted them with the watercolor. But we got this laptop. This one I feel like is a little bit awkward because it looks kind of ugly, honestly. I'm gonna see if I can kind of save this one before I like put it in a clip art set. Like, I know I can do better than this, you guys, but that's kind of just all that came out at that time. So then we've got a little apple, a little red apple, and I've made a little mistake there, but that's okay because when I edit it in like the post-production on Procreate, I'll sort that out, so that's fine. Doesn't matter if you make little mistakes like that when you're doing clip art sometimes, because you can fix it up if you're digitizing them. There's just like a little clock that I've got to erase some of this lead that kind of went on there when I was smudging, or when I was sketching it, sorry. And then I've got this little backpack. This is probably my favorite one out of all of the ones that I actually did, this little backpack. That's proper cute. Oh, actually, it's between the backpack and the actual pencil. I think these are pretty cute. So basically, is there any more? Yeah, that was it. So they're the ones that I'm going to be making and turning to clip art today. I might add some extra things on here just to finish and finalize these ones off, because I don't know if I'm finished adding color to these or not yet. I'll go through them and see if I want to add anything extra onto them, or even just darken some of the colors. If I'm not looking at you, I do apologize. I'm just got my head down doing this, but I'll try and talk and work at the same time, and you can kind of just come along with me. First, let's start with a hot chocolate because it is pretty chilly here today in Oz. So, brush. Alright, let's talk about other ways I'm making money at the moment. Now, I'm really excited to share, but I have become monetized here on this YouTube channel, so thank you. It has taken 10.5 months to get this channel monetized, and it doesn't seem that long. I know some people monetize it quicker than that, and some people it takes a lot longer than that. So I'm so grateful that this has been able to now become monetized as a channel, and so that will mean basically I will be able to earn money and receive money from making some of these YouTube videos. So that will be awesome, as it will be another revenue stream for me and my little family. So I'm really pleased with that. I knew from the beginning when I started YouTube that I wasn't going to get into YouTube for you know, the money. As we know, like, the AdSense money is not something that is really sustainable. You really have to diversify your income. But I'm just grateful that this will now be an extra little amount running in the background for me to be able to earn a little bit of money from these videos that I'm making, which is amazing. Like, that is one thing that I've been so excited that this has happened, because I just never thought that, well, it's not that I never thought, I just, you know, I put my mind to something and I'm like, you know, I'm gonna work hard at this and you know, I'll get there, and I have got there now. I'm just waiting for my PIN number, basically, that you receive in the mail. And don't you worry, guys, I will be very transparent with you guys with numbers on YouTube and stuff like that, because there's no point in hiding it. I just like to be like transparent when I can about money and stuff like that, especially online, because as someone that's never earned money online before, it's such a brand new world to me. And I just think, like, wow, like, there's no one that I know of, like, in my real life that is actually doing this. So it's all an experiment to me. It's all like really interesting and kind of like, it's like the wild, wild west for me, because I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's just so different to a 9-to-5, this whole teacherpreneur, creatorpreneur, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call us. It's just like a whole different ball game. So that's why I'm just really grateful that this has happened so fast. Well, not so fast, like I said, it's been 10 months of me really trying to put myself out there when I can, because I obviously have a little one. And I have been trying to be as consistent as I can when I can to be able to put videos out. And I can see the fruits of my labor now starting to just like pay off. So I will, like I said, I will get into more detail in future videos about YouTube and my YouTube journey. Like, I did post a video on my YouTube here saying about like getting to 1,000 subscribers, which was amazing. not far after that, that's when I became monetized, and I will, like, again, talk about that in a bit more detail. But that is one way that at the moment, actually I'll show you really quick on my YouTube studio while we're here. But again, like, I want to do an actual video, but just this, like, a sneak peek for you guys who like into my clip art stuff that would actually watch the whole video through. I'll show you. So at the moment, so it is now August 1st here in Australia, and I think I got monetized about the 12th or 14th of July. Again, I will go into detail and I'll do a proper video on this, but so far, I don't know if you can kind of see. I'll see if I can kind of zoom up. This is just like my analytics so far that you can kind of see. But I've earned $40.85. So I don't know if this is not yet rolled over because it might be going off US time. Obviously here in Australia it's now the 1st of August, but maybe it goes off like the US time, so it still might be July. So maybe that's why it hasn't gone. I don't know. Like I said, this is so new to me. I haven't received any payouts or anything because I've just become monetized. So I'll let you know the whole process, but that's basically what's just showing up on my YouTube studio. So that's really interesting, and yeah, that is one way that I will be earning money online as well through YouTube. The only thing is with that, I'll have to wait till I get to $100 to even be able to get that payment sent out to me. So that's just one thing to consider with the whole YouTube thing, but I will, like I said, go into detail all about that. Another way that I'm earning money at the moment is actually creating videos and teaching, basically. Now, not teaching in the way of like one-to-one on Outschool or anything like that, which I remember I had that planned in like my 2022 goals. I think my fiance is here. In my 2022 like plans. Yeah, he's here. Hello.
You're in the middle of filming?
Yeah.
Did I just mess it up?
No.
Oh, you just did it.
I can just edit. Oh, what'd you get, sushi? Do you want to be in the video?
I don't want it on my face, but I can.
You have your voice in it.
If you want.
Say hi, vlog. Come in. I'm just talking about things.
Yeah.
I'm doing my clip art. Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. What is it?
Oh, purse.
No, it's not a purse.
Like a pencil case.
Yeah. How'd the gym go?
Don't interview me as well on TV.
Oh.
That was alright.
Did you?
Worn out.
Worn out?
Yeah. You're not going to get embarrassed because I'm here, right?
No, I'm going to talk about you soon. I'm talking about my manifestation stories.
Oh, right. Well, I'll put headphones on if you want.
Yeah. You could probably hear anyway, but it made me feel less.
Put headphones on if you know that I can't hear you.
Yeah. Oh, I don't mind you hearing me, but it's just going to be a bit embarrassing for you. So stop. Excuse that little moment. My fiance just come back from the gym and he has bought me some sushi, which was really nice. Now he's just playing on his flight simulator while I finish this video. Yes, so other ways that I'm earning money at the moment. So we talked about YouTube, so now I have become monetized and I'm so grateful for that. I'm still, like I said, waiting for my pin to come in the mail, and then I have to verify my account and stuff like that. But I will keep you updated with exactly what happens. So another way that I'm earning money online is through video, and not obviously YouTube, that's a separate thing, but video. I've been creating classes on places like Skillshare. Now Skillshare, I will say I haven't earned a lot of money off Skillshare. I have earned a few dollars here and there, but my Skillshare, I've only got one class and it was very specific, and it was how to make a GIF on Procreate, and I haven't uploaded anything else since then. So that has kind of just been a trickle of things, but the last couple of months have been pretty dead, and I think that's because I've not really been active on Skillshare. I love Skillshare, I have an account with Skillshare, but I just need to put more classes out, I think, but I just haven't had the time at the moment to be able to do YouTube. do TPT, do Creative Fabrica, do all the other stuff that I've got going on right now. I just don't have the time right now. So that has basically been put on the back burner, but that is one way that I have earned some money. And now I wish I could tell you some more details about other ways I earn money through video online. I will say I have created classes for companies. I'm not actually allowed to say the amount of money or anything like that, but yeah, that has been another way. Basically I've been contracted out to create creative classes. And yeah, that is just one thing that has been really helpful and really I've enjoyed doing so far. I'm still kind of learning the ropes with all of the whole classes and YouTube videos and all of that. I mean, we have been doing it on the 13th of August this year, my YouTube channel would have been 1 year old, so we're getting closer to a year on Tealazzo, but there's just been a lot that I've learned over the last year. But they're basically two other ways that I'm earning money besides Teachers Pay Teachers. So that's basically that. And I am going to now talk about... Alright, so now let's talk about what are my plans to diversify my income online. As I've been researching this whole Teacherpreneur online world, I've come across the same thing multiple times, which is basically diversify your income. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I want to really keep that in mind, and I want to branch out, not to the point where I'm spreading myself too thin, but to the point where I have multiple income streams that allow me to grow my revenue. So one of the things that I plan on doing in the future, not anytime like soon, when you are trying to figure out this whole online world, you don't get given a roadmap to how to do this. So it's really trial and error for a lot of it. And what I've come across is obviously don't put all your eggs in one basket. So my plan is into the coming future, not right away, but just thought might as well share with you guys now. I would like to eventually open my own store, and I have come across a website that I'm thinking about starting up and using for having just a separate digital product download store, which is PayHip. I don't know if anyone watching this has heard of that, but it's been out for a few years now from what I believe. I don't know when it started, but I've seen quite a few videos on PayHip, and I know there is another YouTube content creator that I follow, May Arroyo, I think that's her name, and she talks about similar things to what I do, but does more print on demand. She doesn't touch on Teachers Pay Teachers too much or anything like that. Well, she does talk about Clipart in some things, but she has more print on demand, but she's got a lot of business stuff that she talks about, and she has her own PayHip store. And so I think maybe that is a possibility for me to try and do that and branch off from TPT also. Not to leave TPT alone. I love TPT and I still want to continue on with TPT, but my plan is to just have something there that I control. So I'm thinking if I can have my own little store maybe on this PayHip website that I've come across, then that might be a good way to diversify as I'm beginning to grow my audience here on YouTube. And I think that just might be cool because I'll be able to have a bit more control of the things and the revenue and all that stuff. And what entices me about PayHip is the fact that it's very low risk. So it's you don't have to pay any starting up costs or anything like that, but the only thing is you do have to bring traffic to your store. As I said, as this YouTube channel continues to grow, and if there's anyone that comes across me that is interested in my work or anything, then if I can direct them in the link or anything to go to something like my PayHip store that will just have exclusive clip art that's not sold anywhere else, or even maybe looking into a membership type of thing, that might be something that I might be able to do in the future. I don't know when that would be, but I have plans to do something along the lines of that, and we'll see how that goes, but that's kind of just the plan at the moment. Another thing that I was thinking, actually, I wanted to mention, if you are a Teachers Pay Teacher seller watching this, I came across a really cool website that is a business website, and it's called AppSumo. I never heard of it before, and when I went onto the website, I'm oh, this is really cool. This would be really cool for business owners, and when you're a TPT author, you pretty much are a business owner. So not that you have to get anything off AppSumo, but there are awesome deals when it comes to like business. So you might get some one-off deals where, like, I just recently purchased something where I've got like a one-off deal. You only pay for it once and you get that with all the features and all the updates in the coming future and stuff like that. And I was thinking if I was to create a mini course, which this platform that I bought is called UTeach. It's a newer platform, but as obviously, like I said, I only had to pay the one-off payment instead of having like a subscription-based model. I was thinking maybe I could do something like a mini course to do with Clipart. As I know, I have looked myself, like I've mentioned in the past, some of my videos, there's no one like teaching in a structured way on how to sell Clipart really online, or even like especially specifically for teachers pay teachers. So I'm thinking maybe that could be something in the future that maybe I could fill. And so that's just kind of like some of my plans at the moment, having like a mini course and then having like, so there might just be mini course. They won't be overly expensive, but it would just be a structured course that someone can take that will help them like understand how to do this all. I mean, there's one thing that you can go and watch all the YouTube videos for free. Absolutely, you can do that. It just takes a little longer, and if someone's not wanting to waste their time looking through all the different videos of mine or whoever else is online, then to have a course, it does just expedite that process. So I'm thinking maybe that might be another way to be able to diversify my income and also help other people out there too that are wanting to get into the whole Clipart business. And so that's just 2 ideas that I have. Membership, I did mention, like I'm thinking on my website, I would, like I said, want to offer like some sort of exclusive Clipart set. I don't know how that's going to work yet, with what platform and whatnot, but that's just, the idea of a subscription membership is intriguing to me, because obviously you can get, if you're someone that likes Clipart or needs Clipart for your TPT business or beyond, if you were to have like a subscription thing, say you pay like, I don't know exactly what my price would be at this point, but maybe you pay $10 a month for access to a bank of my particular Clipart, and you can use it obviously for commercial use, but that bank continues to grow. And so every month I will upload like a certain amount of Clipart to that, and that will be able for you guys to access and use in your own works and stuff like that. So, and it will just be exclusive to that particular subscription. But having a subscription model, from what I've seen online, I know it can be quite profitable for some people. And so it's just an idea, and I'm just giving you my ideas too. I don't know whether or when I'll do any of these, or if I do any of these, but these are just my ideas of how I plan to possibly diversify my income. Like I said, I don't want to try and keep all my eggs in one exact basket. I do want to like spread my wings a little bit, but I don't want to spread them too thin so I can't fly. I want to really just when I have that extra bit of time and just slowly grow that and see how it goes, and I'll kind of just like be documenting the journey along the way. So that is basically answering those. Now, like I said guys, I'm very new to watercolor, so I'm just still learning the ropes. This is me just practicing, and so that's why too, by the end of this video, this will be a Clipart set. Hopefully I will link it down below once it's complete. It'll be a Clipart set, free for you guys to use if you liked any of it. So that's the little sun, and so they're all pretty dry now, just this pencil case I'm waiting for. Now before we get into the exciting part of the manifestation stories, I am going to just quickly scan these into my computer so then I can send them over to Procreate. And then once I've done that and I've got all of these Clipart on my, or what I'm going to turn into Clipart onto my Procreate app, then we will talk about manifestation. I was saying to you guys in, I think, my last income report, I was saying, you know, I have some interesting manifestation stories, so I'm going to share some of those with you in a minute, so you just have to stick around. Alrighty, so I just went and just added a couple little extra details, and I just want to quickly talk about them before I go and put them through the scanner and put them into Procreate. But I'll just show you again. So there's my little bag. It's one of my favorite ones. There's the apple. There's the pencil. I've just added a bit of black textile, like fine liner, to the tip of that one. So we'll see what that looks like when it's scanned through. There's my sun. I didn't really add much to that. I might still go around and just erase some of the pencil lines. But to be honest, some of the pencil lines I like because it's kind of just like gives it that authentic feel. But again, I'm still getting better at like watercolor and stuff like this. I've still got a long way to go with learning watercolor. But like I said in my video, you just have to start somewhere and you have to experiment. So you have to make ugly work sometimes. And I'm not saying all of these are ugly. I think I like some of them, but like this one in particular, I think this is so yucky. Like that one, yeah, I'm not happy with that. I probably will still include it because it is what it is, but that I feel like is pretty yuck. I don't like that at all. And then I've just got the pencil case. So yeah, I tried to like make it kind of like a little bit interesting with the color, but I don't know if it just looks like strange or not. We'll see. And one thing about watercolor is it does take a little while to dry and you can get a little impatient with it, but I was trying to make this screen really dark and kind of just looks a bit strange. So I might have to go over that again once it's dried. But that's those so far. So I'm gonna go scan that and then we're gonna chat. So on a side note, this is what I created today. This is my little all about me triorama. And so I just thought I'd show you that really quick because it was just sitting on my printer, and that's just one of my new TBT products that I have created. So yeah, so I'm all about clip art, and then when I feel in the mood, because sometimes I get that itch to try and create like a resource, and this is like my resource stuff. And so yeah, I'm like in between really creating stuff for my resource store and then like creating clip art digitally and traditionally, as you can see. So pretty cute. And they're actually so easy to make, you guys. Like, they look hard but they're not. Okay guys, so I've scanned them all onto my computer. I do apologise about this one. I feel like this one's actually proper ugly, but it is what it is. I'm still going to include it into this clip art set because I don't want to waste it. If anyone, you know the saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Someone might like it out there, and if they don't, that's okay because I don't really like that one either. But I do like the rest of them. The bag's cute. I like the apple. I just need to fix them up a little bit in the post-production of them, and I'll just show you what they look like kind of on screen now. See if I could just move you up a little bit. And so I've gone and I've decided to, instead of doing them all in 600 DPI, 300 DPI, I was looking more carefully, and you can see more detail with the 600 DPI, but I think for what I'm wanting, because of the size, when a clip art is like 20 megabytes, I think that's a bit too much, so I think I will just go with the 300 DPI and I will sort it out in Procreate to get all the extra little bits off it. So that's sort of what they look like, but they will look a lot better once I add them into Procreate and do the little final touches of them. So that is that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to airdrop them over to my iPad, and then we're going to chat manifestation. Okay, let's talk manifestation now that everything's imported over into Procreate. I'm just going to do some cropping while we chat. So it's been a while since I've said some of these stories to anyone, so I hope I don't get too embarrassed. But now I'm going to be talking about my manifestation stories that I mentioned in my income report, and I kind of said to you guys that I have had an interesting luck with manifestation and how things have gone throughout my life. I have a few key stories that I kind of want to share with you guys. I've got them on my little sticky notes down here, so I have a few different ones I want to kind of like mention while we go and crop these. But basically, I understand if you're not totally into the whole manifestation thing. I know there are a lot of people out there that are like pretty grounded people, and they're just like, I don't really believe in the woo-woo kind of world. But me personally, I'm very into energies, and I'm very open as a person to understanding that just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there, and doesn't mean that, you know, something can't happen. So I really believe in how energies play a role in our world and how there's an energetic exchange with things. So anyway, going back to my manifestation stories, these are things that have happened in my life that are true stories that I have, you know, I feel like I've put down to manifestation, and I didn't realize it was like really manifestation at the time, but when I look back in hindsight, they have really kind of been what I believe to be manifestation. So let's talk about, first of all, England. Since I've been a teenager, I've wanted to go to England. I don't know why and where it came from, but I've just been fascinated with wanting to go to England. And so when I was 17, I think, to 18, I dated my first real boyfriend, I would say, and we were together for about 8 months to like a year. Oh, I think we were actually technically together only 8 months, but we'd been seeing each other for a little longer than that. And I remember thinking like, oh, I wonder if I'll travel with this guy to go to England, because I've always wanted to go to England. But long story short, and what happened was that didn't work out, that particular relationship, due to him being unfaithful. And so I ended up having to break up with him, and I basically was left heartbroken. And you know what it's like when you go through your first heartbreak after your first proper relationship. It's not a fun time. Breakups in general are not a fun time, and it just makes you feel really sad about like yourself, the world, just everything. So I was moping around for quite a while after that, and you know, it was hard because he was trying to get back into my life at that point in time, and I just couldn't trust him, and it was a whole thing. So anyway, fast forward a little while longer, and after we broke up, I decided the next person that I wanted to be involved with in a relationship, so I was 19 by this time, 19 years old, and I said to myself, you know, low battery, gotta do this quick. I wanted someone that, because I liked being in the relationship, I liked building something with someone, and you know, having someone to do stuff with, and I just loved building stuff and creating a life with someone, basically. And if that wasn't going to be my ex-partner, I was wanting someone in my future to be, you know, someone that would be there for me, that wasn't going to be silly, that was going to be trustworthy, that was more sensible. And so in my mind, I wanted someone that was a little bit older and someone a bit more mature. So they would take me seriously, because I've always kind of felt that I've always been a bit more older mentally. And so I remember thinking to myself and thinking like, all right, the next person I want to be with, I want them to be hardworking. I want them to be someone that has a good job. I want them to be someone that is a kind person, someone that, you know, will listen, and, you know, just things that I wanted from a person in my partner. I wrote down, and I just really thought about what I truly wanted. And, you know, I wrote down it on a list, but I even went to the, you know, the whole extent to even like writing down sort of the things that I wanted him to look like and sound like. And in that process, I wrote down like I wanted him to have an English accent. And now I'm not attracted to other people that don't have English accents, but I have a thing for English accents. That's just me. And so in my mind, I'm like, this is probably not going to happen, because where I live, literally, at the time, especially at 19, I didn't know anyone that was from England or had an English accent. I had no one in my life that I could be interested in that was English, really. And so I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna find someone that is like got an English accent. Like, that is just so far from what is around me right now. There's no one in my friend circle, no one in my life that I know of that has the qualities, not just the English accent, but just all the qualities that I was looking for. And so this is kind of where it kind of gets a bit creepy. Not creepy, but like really interesting, and my love story with my fiance. So after feeling so sad and lonely, and, well, not lonely, but just feeling really heartbroken, I should say, after my last relationship, you know, like I said, I was manifesting this person into my life, and I was thinking about that person, who he could be, and stuff like that. And so while I was manifesting, while I was really feeling the feels and feeling like, okay, this person, the next person I want to be with, I am going to be pretty choosy, because I want to let someone, because I didn't want to get heartbroken again. I really wanted to let someone in that was going to be serious. Like, I didn't want to just go after my last relationship to be into like a a fling type of situation. I just wanted to be in a serious relationship, and I knew that wasn't going to happen straight away, and I was giving myself time. But yeah, I just had all of these things in my head set on what this potential partner could be for me. And so anyway, time goes on, and I'm working at a jewelry store at this point. And all of a sudden, while I'm at work, a man walks in and I hear his voice. I didn't see him. I didn't see him yet, but I heard his voice, and he was English. And as soon as I heard his voice, I literally just got butterflies, and I'm like, who is that? And I'm at work at this point in time, so I'm like, oh my goodness, who is that? And so I literally walk over and I see him for the first time, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, he was gorgeous. Like, I found him so handsome, and I was like, honestly, like it was a magnetic attraction from the moment I saw him, and the moment I heard him as well. I was like, who is that? And anyway, he looked a bit older. He didn't look that older than I was, because I was thinking the person that I wanted to be with next was going to be maybe like 25, 27 at the time when I was 19, because like I said, I wanted someone a little bit older, a bit more mature, that had they weren't into like just playing around and rah rah rah. So I just remember seeing him for the first time and just being like in awe. And I don't know why, but you know, when you're like really not embarrassed, but you get like your hot cheek flushes, and you know, you just get your heart racing. I don't know, but out of nowhere I got that feeling for this person, and I didn't even know him. I hadn't even spoken to him. And so while that was happening, one of my colleagues went to go serve him, because like I said, I was working at a jewelry store at this point. And she went and she was talking to him, and they were like looking at, because he came in with a friend as well, they were looking at some gold necklaces. And so I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, who is that? Like, oh, like I just remember thinking, he's so handsome. Who is that? Like, and I was actually, because I never got to speak to them, I never got to serve them, I just remember feeling like, oh my gosh, I've missed my chance to even say hello or anything. I'm at work, so it's not really the most professional thing. I'm not going to be like, hi, here's my number. No way. I was at work, so I was on the professional level, but I just remember feeling like, oh my goodness, like he's so handsome, and so just like, so my type, if that makes sense. And so he walked out, and I remember with his friend, and I remember just feeling so sad that they walked out. I was like, oh, I'll never see this guy again, ever. He might have a girlfriend, I don't know. But I just remember feeling so sad, and just like, oh, like I would have loved to just said hello at that point, obviously, and I was single, and I was just like, oh, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, fast forward a little bit later on. So that week, after that day, he made such an impact on me, and I never spoke to him. I never said a word to him. He never even looked at me as far as I knew at the time. But that week, something weird happened. That week, I thought about him, and something popped in my head that was really weird, and I was like, I literally had to go, Adriana, what the heck are you doing? Stop. Like, you can't think this. He basically, in my head, it was like, this guy's your soulmate. The guy that came into work that day was your soulmate. And I'm like, excuse you? Like, excuse you? I don't even know this guy at all. I haven't, like, why would you ever think that? I just thought it was so strange that my brain thought that. And I was like, okay, like, I will never see him. He's probably just like a backpacker coming through. Like I said, I don't know any English guys around, or even like friends. Now I do, but back then when I was 19, I didn't. And I just remember thinking like, I'll never see him again. I won't see this guy again. But, you know, in my head, I was like, this guy's your soulmate. So I was like, what the heck? Why am I thinking this way? And so that, like maybe a day after that happened, when I thought that weird thought, me and my sister were going to the beach. And now this is where it gets really funny and like interesting. So me and my sister were going to the beach, and we went to the beach, and we were like hungry, so we went to go get some food from Woolworths. So if you're in Australia, you'll know what Woolies is. Went to go get some food from Woolworths, and surprise, surprise, lo and behold, and the thing is, I don't ever really, at that time when I was 19, I didn't ever really shop at Woolworths. I always used to shop at Coles. So for me to even go to Woolworths on that particular day was quite a rarity. And the only reason we went to that Woolworths on that particular day was because we went to the beach, and that was the closest shop nearby to get like some food from a grocery store. And so, lo and behold, when I walked in, guess who walked past with no shirt on, mind you. He had been at the beach too. With no shirt on was my fiance, well, my now fiance, but this guy that I saw at work. And I something possessed me, something I would never, ever, ever naturally go and chase someone down the aisle. But that day, something came over me and I did. I was literally like, that is so not in my nature. Like, I'm quite a shy, I'm not as shy as I used to be, but I am quite a shy person. But anyway, I chased this guy down the aisle. Not chased, but like just kind of slowly followed him, I guess you could say. I followed him down this aisle, and because I needed to see if it was him, because in my head, I never thought I was going to see this guy again who went into work. Mind you, I wasn't in my work clothes, so even if he had saw me at work, I didn't think he would even recognize who I was. So a minute goes by, and I go and I'm like just looking at him to see if it was him. And he's in the juice section, and he looks back at me, and we have this really weird, interesting eye moment. And I'm like, oh my goodness, he's looking at me, he's looking at me, he's looking at me. What is he doing? Oh my God, he's looking at me, or is he looking at the tomato sauce behind me? I don't know. Anyway, I got all shy and I walked off. And so I don't know what happened, but something came over me and I just needed to see if it was him. And then my little sister, she's like, Ed, that's my nickname, Ed, because Adrina's quite long, they call me Ed. She's like, Ed, what were you doing? I'm like, never mind, it's all good, let's go. So we packed our stuff up and we went. Now, crazy thing is, the very next day, him and his friend come back. They come back because I was at work the next day, him and his friend come back, and I actually get the chance to talk to him. I was so shocked that he recognized me from work, and he came back into the store and we started chatting. And then I realized that he wasn't really like looking for anything. Anyway, so we're chatting and chatting. I'm getting flustered because I'm like, oh my God, I find this guy so attractive, and he's like literally like my dream guy, and I'm like, what is happening here? Like, I'm at work, stop it. And so I'm like, okay. I remember my boss saying, oh, Adrina, someone else has walked in, do you just mind going serving them? And I'm like, because they weren't looking for anything. So I was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I'll talk to you later. And in my heart, I was like, it just sank, because I was like, I probably won't talk to you later. You probably will be gone this next time around. And so anyway, I was going and I served the next people that walked in. And then his friend came up to me. He ends up giving me a little note with my fiance's name and number on it. And he says, my friend wants you to give him a text or give him a call. We're having a barbecue later on tonight if you want to come. And so I grabbed that number and I'm like, thank you. And I was like, put that away. Anyway, so in my head, I didn't want to look like desperado, you know. Like, I was just like, I'm not going to text him straight away. I've just got to like wait a few hours. And so I waited till like 7 o'clock that night. And I remember texting him saying, hi, like, this is the girl from Prouds, what's your name and stuff like that. And he's like, he told me his name, and he's like, I'd love to take you out for breakfast. And in my heart, I was like, oh my goodness, how is this happening? How is this happening? Like, this does not happen every day. Like, someone that you find so your type on paper and has everything that you see, like it seems to have on paper, just comes in and literally just walks up to you and, you know, has a chat with you, and then somehow you end up with his number. Anyway, so I remember him then basically taking me, I agreed to going on a date with him in the morning for breakfast. And in some way, like, the rest is sort of history, but we end up going on a date that next day, and we end up like trying to find this place he wanted. He picked me up in his Ghostbuster car at the time. He had a car that like was like what looks like the Ghostbuster car, which is so funny. And anyway, like we were like looking for this place he wanted to take me, and it was for like half an hour we were driving around looking for this place that had a motorbike at the front that he wanted to take me to, because he was new to the area, he didn't know where he's kind of going. And so I was like, oh, why don't we just go here for breakfast? And we ended up going to a place that I liked, which was nice. And so anyway, I just thought in my head, how is this happening? And you know, after a little while of getting to know each other and him going around Australia, like he flew to Sydney at one point, because he had only been in Australia. When I met him, he'd only been in Australia for 2 weeks at that point in time. So everything happened, and this is where things get even creepier. And this is why I'm like, this is more than just a coincidence. The day that he like gave me that number, or his friend, he wrote it down on a piece of paper and gave it to his friend to give to me. But anyway, the day that I got his number was my mum's birthday, so I can never ever forget that. July 11. That was the day he gave me that number. I still have that little piece of paper with his number on it to this day. And for me, I'm just like, how does that happen? Like, that is such a crazy story to meet someone. And I really feel like manifestation was 100%, or at least 99% at play here. Like, all the things that I wanted, and having that such an optimistic mindset about it, and just like thinking about it and just envisaging my life with someone with those qualities. And then lo and behold, the world had like blessed me. I guess too, like, I think because I went through such a hard breakup and I was really quite sad, I like, when, you know, he came along, it was the perfect timing. It was the perfect timing. And I was so glad that he came the time they did. But little things like, if I didn't go to Woolworths that day, if I didn't chase him down the aisle that day, like certain things that I wouldn't naturally do, like there were actions that were led to helping the manifestation continue. But all in all, like that story of meeting my partner is still amazing to me, because I'm like, you know, even years down the track, I still get a little bit like shy about it, because I'm like, oh, I just can't. I remember those feelings of like manifesting that into my life, and I just feel so grateful that, you know, that's the person that I'm with now, and we've got a child together, you know, been together 7 years now. And yeah, it's just so crazy, because he was older, he had all the qualities that I was looking for, he had a good job, he had all the things on paper that I was looking for. Like, he was hardworking, he was kind, he was like nice, he was thoughtful, he was just everything I was looking for. That is just one of my manifestation stories, was basically my fiance. And I have more things about my fiance that makes me think that we were supposed to be together, because like before I found out, like before the whole number thing, when I asked him like, where are you guys living at the moment and stuff, because I thought he was a backpacker, he's like, I'm just living on this street. And that street was literally, when he said the street, I freaked out, because it was just behind the street that I was living at the time. I was like, how are you're living like literally only a street or 2 streets away from me right now? How is this happening? Like, you're so close. And not only that, like even moving into the future now, like when we look back, well, not even that, there's just so many things between me and my fiance that it's like, I feel like we were destined to be together in some way. Because in year 3, my favorite teacher, Mr. Hadley, I remember year 3, I won an award, and I got a book at the end of the year for it, and it was a courtesy and consideration award for that year, and it was year 3. And on that book, and it's one of my favorite books I have had to this day. And on that book it says fairy tales of, and I can't say the word because it's linked to his job, but basically it says fairy tales of, and it has the word of where he works today. He works at this place that word on this book says. And I'm like, how is it that in year 3 I won a book that says fairy tales of this word, and he works for this word? I'm like, that's weird. And not only that, another thing that has happened that was weird with the whole my fiance thing was the very first time he ever met my mum. Now this is just crazy, right, you guys? I didn't get to set up a proper situation where my mum and my boyfriend at the time got to meet. At my job, again, at the jewellery store I was working at, the first time my mum and my fiance ever got to meet each other, it was around, I think, lunchtime, and no joke, no one was in the store at the moment, And who walks in at the exact same time? This was not planned at all. They didn't know either of each other were coming. My mum and boyfriend at the time both walk in at the exact same time and both come to me and look at me and start talking. My mum looks to him and my partner now looks to my mum, and they were like, my mum was like, are you the boyfriend? I'm the mum, because my mum's Filipino. And anyway, it was just so hilarious because when they came to me when I was working, I was like, how is this happening? My mum and my boyfriend haven't met each other, but they're walking in at the very same time. How is this happening? So anyway, just so crazy, like stuff like that. That was just like, things can be weird and things can be like, things can happen when you don't expect them to be. So that fiance is one of my biggest things. And obviously when I say England, like I go back to the story when I was a teenager and I wanted to go to England, I never ever thought, so when I was 17, 18, I never ever thought I'd be going to England by the time I was 21 years old. By the time I was 21, I had gone to England, and it was just crazy because as soon as I met my fiance, my whole life really just changed. It was just crazy. So I found my fiance who had everything off my bucket list and more, and then I was on my way to England to meet his parents not long after we kind of were together. And then now I want to talk about the house manifestation story that I've only got two more, but our house. So fast forward a few years obviously now, and my fiance and I have been together for a few years. Sorry, my battery died, guys, so I'm gonna have to just film on my phone. I was just getting too into that story. But I just want to say these last two stories. I'm sorry if this video is really long, but it is what it is. So if you like the long videos, let me know. If you don't, then I'm sorry, but I'm just a chatterbox. So that's what it is. But I just want to talk about very quickly the manifestation story with our house. So when we were looking for about 6 months to find the house that we're in now, and it took a lot of looking around. And so when we were looking, we were only sort of looking at houses that were probably priced around, what, 250 to 300. So that's Australian dollars, you guys. So 250 to 300,000 Australian dollars. And so we couldn't find anything that was really us. My fiance wanted a pool that was like on his tick list, and I just wanted something clean and modern with possibly a deck. And so anyway, when we were looking around, we came across a few, and nothing clicked. And I remember we were looking online after like 6 months of looking, and I came across one on my phone. I was like, oh my goodness, it has a pool, it has this, it has that. It has sort of, the only thing that was compromising was a sea view, but the ones that were sea views were pretty expensive. So we're probably like, we've got to compromise and probably have to get rid of the sea view because we're looking at like $1 million there, and we don't have that money right now to do that. So I remember just thinking like, okay, in our price range of 250 to 300,000, because we kind of wanted to spend not too much because we wanted to pay it off really quick and maybe get a house that we could do up and add some more things to it. It didn't have to be a brand new house. And so when I looked at this house, it was a little bit more. It was, I think, 450,000 at that time. I remember thinking, oh, this is out of our price range a little bit, but I'll see what my fiance says. And I said, can we just please have a look at it? Like, we don't have to get it or anything like that. I just want to have a look to see what it's like. And so we came and we looked, and we knew the people that were actually selling the house, or I knew the people that were selling the house, which is more interesting. And so I remember though feeling deflated because at the time we weren't wanting to spend that amount of money, and we were like, we only have this amount of money, so we don't know if we can be able to afford something like this. And we asked the real estate agents at the time, like, what would they take this amount of money for it? And we offered a certain amount for it. And they're like, nope, they're not going to go under $450,000, no way. And so I left feeling really quite deflated and thinking, oh, that's such a bummer because we got really good vibes from this house. This is the house we're in now. We got really good vibes from this house, and I was like, such a bummer because it had sort of like what we were looking for at the time. I remember we were going, because that was just like, we hadn't even booked in to have this viewing. It was just like an open house at the time, I'm pretty sure it was. And that same day, we were going to go, oh my gosh, it's funny because only yesterday was the Multicultural Festival, And I'm just talking about the Multicultural Festival again. And so we had a Multicultural Festival that same day that we saw the house. And I said to myself, you know what, world? If that house, because I really like the house, if that house is meant to be ours, and I said to my fiance, if that house is meant to be for us, the world will give me or give us a sign. It'll give us a sign. And I was so adamant about that. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, the world will give us a sign. If that's meant for us, what is meant for us will be meant for us. What's not meant for us won't be for us. And so lo and behold, that day, we went to a multicultural festival, which basically is just like a festival of all different cultures, and you can kind of like get all different types of food there. And it's just it's an hour away from where we live, and it was just a nice little day out. And I remember thinking, wonder if the world will actually, I didn't know if the world was going to give us a sign, but I was hoping that it would. And so anyway, I basically was like really adamant that it would, and I didn't know why, but I just thought, it will give us a sign. And so while we're waiting in line, so we're lining up to get food, and we're buying, I think we were getting like hot chips at the time or something. And while we were waiting, and I'm thinking about this house, and we're like, the world will give us a sign, something will happen. And Jamie's like, yeah, whatever, Ed, whatever you think. And then I'm like, okay. And lo and behold, literally, the number, because when you're lining up to get these food, you get a number. The number that we got that day, for the first thing that we ordered for the food, was the exact same number as this house that we're in now, the house that we looked at that day. Numbers are a way that the world has shown me, like, signs. Numbers for me, it shows in numbers for me, which is weird because like I'm so not a numbers person, but numbers is what manifestation shows me. And so I seen this number and I said to my partner, I was like, this is our sign. Out of any number we could have received after I've said the world will give us a sign, and like an hour later, it's the exact same number as this house. That's not just a coincidence. I'm like, how? It could have been any number that we received in that line, but it was the exact same number as this house. And I said to Jamie, you know what? I had butterfly feeling, the same feeling that I felt when I met him or where I saw him for the first time. I had a butterfly feeling, and I said to him, that's our house. That'll be our house. And I didn't know it at the time. I just felt this confidence that will be our house. And I was working at the time at a school, and I remember thinking, you know what? No, this will be our house. And the thing is, because I was still deflated though, because they said that they wouldn't take any lower than $450,000. And so, we were like, goodness. Anyways, 2 weeks later go by, and the real estate, they contact us saying, would you like to have converse and not negotiate, but would you like to make another offer of the house and stuff like that? And then so my partner and the real estate agent, they went back and forth, and he ended up getting the house for lower than what they said that, oh no, they're not going. We were the first one to make an offer on this house for over a year and a bit, I think. So we wanted to sell the house, and we were interested in the house at the time. And before all that happened though, when I was saying, this house will be ours, in that waiting period of my partner and the real estate going back and forth, every day, because the house isn't far from where my parents live, every day after school, I was working full time at this time, this was pre-kids, every day after school I would drive past the house, every day. I drive past the house because I wanted to put my energy out to this house to say this house will be ours. So I drove past the house every single day for probably a good 2 to 3 weeks. And then soon enough, then we were coming into the contract side of things, and we were getting the house. Fast forward, and we bought the house, we got the house. This is now our house. So that's just another thing of manifestation, and how the world has showed up for us and just showed me a weird sign. And then, I've been very optimistic and very open to receiving those signs, and to being like, okay, if it's meant for us, it's meant for us. And in that particular situation, it was meant for us, because here we are now. We've been in this house for a couple of years now. And so that's just another manifestation story with my house. I've got one last one before I go, and that is my dream board. And I have mentioned this story actually in my pros and cons of having 2 Teachers Pay Teachers stores. But basically in 2017, I made a pretty crappy, if I'm being honest, dream board, and I'll show you it now. This was my dream board in 2017. It's nothing fancy, it's nothing crazy. The funny thing is, and sorry, there was also a picture of a Honda Civic here, but it's fallen off. There was a picture here, I don't know where it's gone, but there was a picture of a Honda Civic as a car because I wanted a new car at the time. And so I have gotten pretty much, besides this, like this is still there. Again, this is not something that is in my immediate future. This is like the 100,000 YouTube plug. I have had that since 2017 when I first started my channel, for my beauty channel. Obviously that kind of went to a flop, but that was just something that was there. But I have gotten this, we have gotten the car that we had on that dream list. I have started my Teachers Pay Teachers store. I don't know what I had in my mind at this point, but I just put Teachers Pay Teachers. So if you're not specific, you guys, the world's showing up for me now a few years later saying, here, you're going to be doing something with Teachers Pay Teachers. And then I've got my YouTube, and like I was saying, I've just recently become monetized. This dream board was 2017, it's 2022 now. So sometimes things take a few years, but it's honestly just so fascinating. Even the fact that we have a nice car, like that we have the car that I had here, the Honda Civic, we have the Honda Civic Type R. So we have a version that was just above that one. And so I'm so grateful that we have that car as a weekend car. Again, we got all of those things pre-baby, because pre-baby life is just different to baby life, you guys. There's a lot more different. Your priorities change completely. But when I look back at things like this, how can I not be optimistic about things that have happened in my life, you know? And sometimes, whether you believe it's manifestation or hard work or whatever, like I don't think it's gonna harm you to believe in something else just because you can't see it. You know what I mean? That's just how I think, and I understand if you don't think the same way because we're all different people. But they're just some things that have shown up in my life that I feel like have been more than a coincidence. They're just some crazy things that have happened, and I think I probably have a few more manifestation stories somewhere, but they're just the main key ones that I've had in my life that have been really kind of strange and weird. And so anyway, we kind of got off topic with clip art, but I just want to share those because I think it's just nice, and it will be nice for me to reflect back on these kind of stories as well. I will say that I'm going to put these clip art set up for free on my Teachers Pay Teachers store. So if you are interested, if you like them, again, sometimes, like I said, this notebook that I created I did not like this at all. And sometimes you have to make ugly work, you guys, but I will include that anyway, just in case someone likes it. I don't really like that, but it's going to be a free set. So whatever you want to do with that, obviously abiding by terms of use, which I'm pretty flexible, but just make sure if you're going to use them just to credit, and that's all I really ask, and not to sell them as is or anything like that. But yeah, I hope some of this was kind of interesting. It's been kind of like a bit of a chatty video and just sort of like a different side today of me. And you got to know a bit of the juicy details of sort of my life, my fiance, and just like manifestation that has happened for me. And like I mentioned too, sorry, I don't even know where to look because I'm filming on my phone. But like I was saying, June income report, I was saying, you know what, as soon as I made that switch of the whole money thing of like, okay, I'm open to receiving, putting in the work to make this happen, to, you know, to believe that the world is working with you. It's not working against you, it's working with you only if you are open to receiving, only if you're open to allowing the world to work with you. And so I'm getting this higher vibration that, you know, things can snowball. And I know it's really hard to think of things like this when you're in a particular situation where you're like, how can I say if you're in debt or if you're in a certain other particular situation where you're like struggling financially or whatever. You know, even for me, like it's been a massive change for me going from a full-time income to not having a full-time income. So I know that it can be really hard to be in that mental mind frame, especially having like a young child as well, and like going from a two full-time incomes to going down to pretty much one. Like it's been a big challenge, but I am so grateful for my fiance. I'm so grateful that he's been like a supporting force behind all of this. And you know, I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful today, and I'm grateful for the things that I have. And I think it's important to have that gratitude, and I'm really optimistic for the future, and I'm really optimistic for what's to come. And I'm excited because, you know, I'm doing something at the moment. Like, I'm creating, I'm loving creating, and I'm loving doing this. And you know, when I was stressed working full-time, and even though I was getting a full-time income, you know, there was a lot of like stress that comes with that. And it was like, I felt like I just felt a lot different than I feel now, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm actually finally getting to have the chance to do something for myself. And even though it's hard, especially being a mum and stuff like that, like I'm really trying. I think that's my biggest driver as well, to like really know that I'm not just, if anything, becoming a mum honestly has given me a drive I never knew I had. But also in a weird way, motherhood is a different journey for everyone. And I had an idea of the mum I was going to be, and I don't know if I am meeting that idea of what I thought I was going to be as a mum. And it's really hard when you're like, you know, you think of how you would be as a parent, and then sometimes you realize that that's not who you are as a parent. And so yeah, there's a lot of mental challenges that have happened for me the last couple of years. And as I'm like getting older, growing, and just becoming a bit more of a different person, like I've seen me and my partner have seen each other grow over the few years, and we've gone into different roles. You know, my partner met me and I was still at uni at the time, and he's seen me grow, you know, get my full-time job, working 3 jobs at one point, you know, and just seeing that journey, and then like, you know, becoming a mom and just all that stuff. It's really interesting. And yeah, I could just chat about that for ages, but I'm not going to bore you. But I know that this video is going to be super long, so if you have made it to the end, I salute you. Thank you. You guys are the real VIPs. I appreciate you taking the time to really just even watch this and to be considerate, especially if you take the time to comment. I'm appreciative of that. And yeah, I just wanted to end this with saying, you know, if you are someone that is wanting to try and change your mindset to help you level up, then like it all starts with your mind. It all really starts with your mind, to try and rethink, because once you are able to rethink certain things and rewire your brain and realize that some of the limited beliefs you might have had over certain things, and that you can do things, you can achieve, and that the world is not out there to get you, the world is out there to work with you. If you cut out the noise and cut out all like the negative spaces that you have, I know that can be hard to do when you have certain people around you that can also aid to that. But if you try and start with you, that's a start, you know, trying to move forward with that. But I really believe in mindset training, and it's something that you don't just do it once. It's something that is a continuous process, and I actively seek that. And I feel like, yeah, I'm just open to energy and just all of that. So if that was too woo-woo for you, I apologize. But well, no, I don't really apologize, because that's just who I am as a person, and everyone's different. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. Like I said, it's a little bit of a different, you can see my washing in the background. I'm showing you behind the scenes of real life, you guys. Yeah, behind the scenes, kind of like vlogish style. But I'm grateful for you here watching today, and I just want to say thank you. And I am wishing you health, wealth, and happiness in your TPT journey and in your life. And I hope that maybe some of these stories have inspired you, or if anything, at the very least, maybe we're just a little bit interesting to you. So thank you once again, guys. I'll see you in my next video. Adios.